Back, everybody, here to the Major League Gaming Winter Championships. We got the International Exhibition Finals about to get underway. Sorry, we're teasing you once again, but we are just waiting for the reigning members of Gambit Gaming just to filter in one by one. And, well, we got to get inside the minds of KT Rolster B a little bit while we're waiting for Gambit to join this chat, especially Freak. You're sitting here chatting it up with them.
So, yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do when I'm waiting for games to start, is to just start talking to the players and just trolling them. And so I asked Ryu, who's the best mid laner in the world? And he sat there for a second, and he's like, me. It's like, okay, that's fair. And then immediately Insect says, no. I'm the best mid laner in the world. Insect, the jungler for KT Rolster B, is the best mid laner in the world. Ryu said, no, you're number 2. Someday said he was number 0, so he was actually above number 1, but like had transcended mid lane, permeated the entire world of League of Legends, and came back to top lane. Mm-hmm. That's how good Someday is.
That's very true.
And then I said, no, guys, we all know it's Maknoon. And then immediately they just all erupt calling him Maknoob over and over again, and like none of them could handle it.
Especially Someday, because if I recall correctly, Someday did make him indeed look like Maknoob.
Ooh, it's a good rivalry, though.
It is a nice little rivalry there. And besides that, we also had the rivalry where we decided that we were going to fill in for Gambit, and it was going to be us against KT Rolster B. Mm-hmm. And then Maffa decided at the last second he wanted to be on our team because we were going to win.
Yeah, he wants that what, $10,000 for first place here.
And the trophy, look at that.
And the trophy, yeah. Why would you not want to play in the caster team? We get to cheat. We can see the whole map.
That's true. And the best part is we can always, if we make a mistake, we can always rewind.
Backspace. Go back 15 seconds. Just kidding. Let's do the fight again.
Oh man, sounds like
never miss a CS.
Sounds like it's harder to swarm. You can just redo.
It's easy mode, man. Just
easy mode.
Go back in time if something screws up. Like, dude, if I could play from spectator, despite being 3 minutes behind, I would probably win a lot more.
I would probably win once for a while.
You might get your first win.
I might get my first ever win.
Every mistake over and over again.
Every mistake. I think I just have a backspace key and no mouse at that point.
How would you ever click on things?
Don't worry about it.
I mean, you can prevent from losing ever because you just like, oh wait, the game started, and you just keep backspacing, and then you'd never die. But
all right, maybe I wouldn't need any other keys besides the backspace key and my mouse.
Okay,
that would be a little bit more doable.
You click your abilities?
Well, I could if I had to.
I don't even want to talk to you anymore.
But then I wouldn't have to use any keys, and I'd only have to use the backspace key.
Yeah, but I mean, you click your abilities?
Well, I actually don't, but I don't smart cast.
That's fine. I mean, that's really a style choice thing. I know a lot of players don't smart cast.
It's hard mode.
I don't know if it's hard mode. I think you just have the option, right? Because there's a lot of abilities you actually want to click things specifically. Mm-hmm. Watching a lot of stream, most mid laners who use skill shot champions like Nidalee or Lux or like Morgana will actually either have a bind for regular cast or to simply unsmart cast that ability, and they'll sit there like kind of walking up from the Fog of War and press the button, and they just kind of move the toggle around and then fire when it's ready. So they actually leave the reticle up for a while. Mm-hmm. So certainly you don't have to smart cast everything, and I know a lot of players make sure they do that distinction.
Well, the big one that I've always seen too is the Rumble Ultimate, because that one is so much easier to not smart cast rather than to try to smart cast. And
I smart cast it myself, but it's a style thing.
I think it's just you're too good.
I mean, you just right-click to cancel if you screw it up. So I right-click like 7 times per Rumble ult, and then eventually put it down and still miss. Like, it's no big deal.
And then you just have like 500 APM.
Sure. I'll just right-click the entire time while I'm just like failing. It'll work well.
Well, I mean, we are still waiting for Gambit Gaming to funnel into this lobby. KT Rolster B, we got to mention, over on the StarCraft 2 stage, Flash from KT Rolster is actually playing right now. So I don't necessarily know if you guys can hear the StarCraft stage over there. I know they'll be hearing from us later when this game does wind up getting underway. I'm sure everybody knows that already, but it's very interesting. We have a very KT Rolsterful final coming in here.
Rolsterful. That's a good term. I like that.
Full of roller coaster.
Dude, so many It's like a theme park in here. We have at least 5 roller coasters in this game. Just to keep you guys updated, Gambit are rejoining the game. Alex, Itch, and Diamond are in the lobby here. They were empty because, again, there we go. Diamond is in, Darian is in. So Gambit Gaming, finally, they are joining the game. You can, of course, see the players on your screen here. Headsets are getting on. We are, for reals. I know I'm like on thin ice here. For real, getting into the game very soon.
Indeed we are. I wouldn't necessarily want to be on thin ice with the weather we've had in Dallas this past weekend.
That would melt fast.
It's been absolutely beautiful. I know myself, coming from New York area, it was snowing a couple days ago. All of a sudden I come here, it's like 80-something degrees, and I'm just like, oh man, I must have stepped into paradise.
It's nice. I mean, I'm from LA, so it's like, it got a little bit warmer. That's nice.
Do you like unbutton the top button of your shirt and be like, oh, okay, I can deal with this?
Yeah, it's pretty great. I really am a fan of of events that are in like really warm places during the
Mm-hmm.
winter season. I think it's a really, really smart choice. It's good to be there. And again, just t-shirts, whatever, no big deal. I was in Dallas in the summer a while ago, and at no point did it drop below 100 degrees, even at night. That was a little less great.
Well, hopefully that doesn't really reign true for everywhere in the United States. I know we are going to be going in the Spring Championships the end of June. We're going to be in Anaheim for Major League Gaming, and I know I've actually never been to Anaheim, and I hope I don't really sweat. Well, I sweat if I think too hard, so I hope
Good
it's
thing
not.
you're in shoutcasting.
Yeah, I don't have to think whatsoever when I do that one. I just kind of talk and things happen.
That's good.
But hopefully it's not going to be too warm when we want to go into Anaheim for the next Major League Gaming event.
And of course, of all players, or of all places to bring Team Roller Coaster, what better than right by Disneyland's doorstep?
Ooh, that would be very true. We might have wanted to think that one through before they came here to Dallas.
Unless they can requalify.
Well, they could wind up requalifying. We really don't know
Dude,
how that's going to work.
How meta would that be? You just take a picture of like the roller coaster team like riding the teacups.
That's not
Like,
a roller coaster.
No, I know,
though.
but that's
That's
the
a teacup
joke.
ride.
That's the joke.
Okay.
You get them to Disneyland. You're like, there's a roller coaster in the shot. They're in the teacups. Or like the Ferris, not Ferris wheel. I mean, Ferris wheel works too, but the merry-go-round, right? They're just on horses going
they're
up
on
and down.
horses going up and down?
It'd be good.
It could be. I mean,
I'm a fan, okay?
it might not live up to the same kind of hype and thrill that the word Rolster just instills into the Korean fan base. I know personally, you can have KT Rolster the teacup ride or KT Rolster Batman the ride. Which one would you go with?
I mean, Batman's pretty cool.
Batman is pretty cool.
Batman's pretty cool. All right, you're right. Tim, you're right. You.
I'm going to
That
start
is
calling
the
you
better op-
Freak, but I'm going to say it with an F instead of a PH.
Oh man, I'm gonna get so trolled. Mm-hmm. Oh dear.
You won't even know it's coming.
No, not at all. I wouldn't even know. You'd have to tell me afterwards, like in the transcripts. We subtitle the video, and it's like, whoa, who put that F in there? But we, of course, are getting the players situated into the lobby. 4 are in. Actually, Genja and Alex having a hard time putting themselves in order. There we go. Genja's there. Just waiting on Edward now. I don't know if he's having the hardest time setting up or what, but we have 9 of the 10 players into the game. I'll stop saying it soon-ish. I mean, I guess as a Riot employee, I can say soon, and that just kind of means whatever it means. But we're about to go into this, of course. We do have 9 players into the lobby. KT Rolster B from Korea. Again, a phenomenally strong team. We saw them 2-0 curse yesterday. They kind of had new life breathed into them when they got their new jungler. So Insec used to jungle for the old CJ Entis squad, was kind of the star player there. He's a very, very aggressive player. And he's kind of turned KT Rolster B from this sort of passive, like old CLG EU type team into one that just sort of keys off of him and makes early plays and snowballs ahead early on, and then just has phenomenal player skill to back up off of that one. Gambit Gaming, of course, we've seen them for a while, former Moscow 5. They've been the best team in Europe, probably undisputedly, for over a year now. And they haven't had a roster change since we've really seen them break onto the scene. And there we go. Edward has joined the game, so we're about to get underway. And it's going to be a phenomenal match here. We saw them 2-0 Dignitas on Friday. These guys are looking sharp.
Yeah, and I'm actually really interested to see what Insect's going to pick up. As you mentioned, being on the former CJ Entis squad before they acquired Frost and Blaze, he was known to really have to carry the team. Even doing so on Champions, wouldn't expect to be sort of carried junglers. He would wind up playing Amumu and absolutely carrying the team. Although he does still have that Korean Shaco up his sleeve. We'll have to see what he winds up doing as we finally get into these picks and bans.
All right, here we go. So Renekton banned away from Darien. What I'm expecting here, I talked to Edward, and he said we are going to ban out Caitlyn, let them pick Lulu, ban Sona and take, let them pick Ezreal, ban Sona and take Lulu. He said that their AD carrying support only know 2 champions. And we'll see if that ends up being true. I mean, this is just Edward's opinion. Maybe they have a different sort of strategy for champion select. But he said if they just leave them just Ezreal for the AD carry and they remove Sona and Lulu, they'll have an easy time bottom lane.
Well, there's the Caitlyn ban, as you did say, getting banned out there from the side of Gambit Gaming. Volibear and Darius actually being banned out. So they don't want to have that one. Gambit Gaming, they played, I believe it was once or twice in the entirety of the IEM Katowice and World Championships. And it wound up working out for them. So it doesn't seem like KT Rolster B really wants to put up with that one.
Now here's what's interesting interesting is they are going to ban out Sona. We'll see if KT first picks Lulu. We have seen them early pick a support in this tournament this weekend so far, but I would guess if they don't grab Lulu here, Gambit Gaming is going to insta-lock that themselves.
Well, we'll have to see here. KT Rolster B, of course, we only have a small sample size of their picks and bans coming from the online Korean qualifiers because, well, that's the latest time they've actually had this entire roster together. And it's very impressive to say that this is one of the top teams in Korea, and this roster has been together for a month and a little bit. It's very impressive stuff, but they do wind up taking Shen right at the get-go here, which is common pick there on the screen. However, not exactly what we were expecting to have them take right away.
Well, it's interesting because KT are clearly targeting Darien here. They've removed two of his most common top laners and then picked the third. So they're already kind of getting down on his roster. What Gambit has done is actually picked up an early Nasus, and Nasus is what Insec played when Volibear was taken when they played Curse in Game 2. So they're actually targeting Insec a little bit. Now, his famous Zed is still available. There's Gambit. They have locked in Lulu. Nasus I expect to see here because they're removing sort of that tier list these players have of champions they want to play.
Well, Volibear, like you said, having banned out. And this, of course, is the more recent live path for Xinjiang. Maybe not highly as contested a pick as he used to be, although we may see Insec picking him up once again. Jarvan actually still has been left on the table. Insec's been known to play that in the online qualifiers ever so slightly as well. We're going to have to see what they do wind up going here for. We could just wind up seeing a support and an AD carry being picked up from the side of KT Rolster B. But as you said, the two supports that they really do like to take are off the table for now.
And this is going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. So they are going to grab Miss Fortune here. And the cool thing they have now is two basically supportive champions to keep Miss Fortune alive. She's one of those extremely strong champions, but is without an innate escape, unlike Ezreal, Caitlyn, things like that, who can get away themselves. She needs help peeling herself away from a fight. And when you've got champions like Alex, or players like Alex Ich, who excel on champions like Kha'Zix, Miss Fortune's life will be difficult. So Shen and Kayle being there going to really help her stay alive.
Well, it's no surprise really to see Alex Ich hovering over Kha'Zix for that mid lane pickup. Of course, Zed is still on the table, so we might see him swapping there at the last second. But, like you said, very comfortable coming out from the side of Gambit Gaming. Not only are they kind of playing into what you talked to Edward about backstage, but they also are picking familiar champions to them. This is something that they do almost all the time. You even see from the percentages on the screen, very common, very high percentages. These are the champions they feel comfortable playing. These are the ones that they always wind up winning with when they're playing. So why try to fix it if it ain't broke?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be it's a very strong setup. And here we go. Actually, Ashe coming back. Now, quick note about Genja. Before he ever joined M5, that was like all he played. Like he was like a 2300 elo only Ashe player, and he's brought it back here. I'm excited to see what he does with this champion.
Is this is the patch where Ashe got that slight attack speed buff as well, correct?
Yeah, she gets 4% attack speed per level, which is actually quite high. So normally one of the, like if you compared Ashe, the most similar AD carry was Varus, who they both just kind of bring long range, pretty decent safety from the range, no innate escapes, and good crowd control. And Varus just kind of dealt more damage. Now, what Genja has here with Ashe is now similar damage because of the attack speed per level buff, but also a global stun and really, really good kite power, so this will be fun to see.
Well, we're going to have to see what KT Rolster B wants to respond with here. Kayle has been hovered over, and ooh, that Zed is still open there. Could potentially see Insec jungling Zed. That is something that he has been known to do in the past. Evelynn also being hovered over, which means that Kayle might wind up actually going in the top lane or jungle if Evelynn's going to be locked in.
Wow, so already this is very interesting. You're right, it's probably jungle Zed. Kayle potentially is support, and I don't know why they'd pick Thresh here. But, well, I mean, it could be solo Lulu. We've seen teams play that much more back in the day when she had higher AP ratios. But, I mean, we've already seen something crazy here. I am very surprised with it. Heck, we've seen support Nasus, to be fair. And already these picks are... I'm not going to call any lanes. I don't actually know for sure.
No, because we're going to have swapping back and forth for potentially the next 50 seconds or so. But Gragas did wind up getting locked in, and that's a little bit more familiar kind of style of what we've seen Alex Ich play during Season 2. We're going to have to see what they wind up swapping around with and locking in, though. But we are going to take a quick commercial break while they do so. When we come back, we're going to be in game number 1 between Gambit Gaming going up against KT Rolster B. Guys, you definitely don't want to go anywhere.
This is the part where the game changes. Are you ready?
I think we're good. First game here of the International Exhibition Finals, the final matchup for the League of Legends stream on Championship Sunday here at the Major League Gaming Winter Championships. Almost said summer, I'm thinking of the hot weather once again. We have KT Rolster B on your blue side and Gambit Gaming on your red side. Some very interesting pickups from both teams here, but I want to gauge the reaction from the crowd here. If you guys want KT Rolster B, the blue team, to take game number 1, I want to hear you guys.
And if you want to see Gambit Gaming on red, let me hear you guys.
I think you got the better one.
Well, I got the one with more crowd favorites for sure.
You definitely did, but
happening.
We'll have to see what the level 1 setup is coming out from both of these teams. We did talk about Insect going to get a chance to run his jungle Zed. More importantly, we have Mafa running a support Kale, which is something that we're not all that familiar with, at least on the North American side of things.
Yeah, that felt more like a steal, and then they tried to figure out their champion select around that. Because by grabbing Kale, they locked up one of the major counter picks to Zed, and also a champion that Gambit Gaming would be happy to run normally. Of course, in retrospect, looking at Gambit's champion select, I probably could have called those lanes properly when they had the one obvious support and the obvious mid laner, etc. But yeah, support Kale, like you said, very, very different. We don't see that very often. Her heal is much lower than someone like Soraka or even Sona over time. But Gambit, they're looking for a late invade on the blue buff.
Yeah, they are going to wind up sneaking around from that top lane brush. They're going to go in here as a unit of 4 members. Nobody around from the side of KT Rolster B really seems to be noticing this. They're going to sneak right into this brush. Throw on a pink ward just in case they're getting spotted out. And it looks like they're going to try to take this one away. But someday he's going to wind up coming around here. Edward wants to get an auto attack down. They're just going to force him away from this one. Don't really want to try to engage on anything and just take away a blue buff. And they do wind up giving it away to Alex Ich.
And everyone shared experience there, so both Alex and Darian are going to have about half a level here as they get into their lanes, which will give them a very good advantage when they fight. Diamond is actually basically self-leashing and not using Smite on red. The problem is his blue is already being stolen away by KT Rolster in the bottom lane. And wow, they actually ran teleport. Alex is not going to be there in time, though.
No, Alex is going to teleport in here, but he won't be able to do anything. Insect's already level 3. He's going to wind up going over the wall onto Alex, only level 1. He has the barrel toss as well. He's not going to be able to just body slam over that wall. He's getting chased down by Insect, but Diamond Pro's going to show his face by that wolf camp. For now, it looks like Gambit Gaming's safe.
And I really got to admire the ability of Alex to say, look, I know you don't have any crowd control left. I know I can outrun you. And has simply walked away, knowing that the W would not be back up to slow him, and just got right to his teammates. That was a very, very smart way to get out.
Well, we also saw in this top lane, Darian taking a lot of damage in trades back and forth between Someday. We do see it in this bottom lane. So far, nobody's been there because Alex Ich was forced back extremely early. So Insect can score, going to put a lot of pain down upon there. We also see an interesting kind of dual lane in the middle here from KT Rolster B. Looks like Kale's going to be lending a little bit of support to reuse Evelyn in this mid lane as the duo lane from Gambit Gaming has gone mid.
All right, it's going to be very, very interesting overall because you've got ridiculous lane setups. A turret going down at 3.5 minutes. Insect went for that immediately. Alex Ich still only level 1, had popped a red elixir to get away, just already in a rough spot. No turret alive.
Well, no turret in the bottom lane and only a level 1 Gragas means that Gambit Gaming is going to be in a little bit of a sticky situation. We do have to see that blue buff also being taken on Alex. It's over halfway done. He's only just hit level 2, so he's not really getting the biggest benefit from that one either. We're going to have to see what KT Rolster B now decides to do. Insect creeping around towards this mid lane. He might try to wind up going behind Edward and Genja here. I don't think they're going to see him. That ward does not spot them out. Ryu tries to go in here. Barrier popped, cleanse popped extremely early on Ashe, taking a lot of that pain. Insect's going to go in but not be able to take down anybody from Gambit.
But you can already see the aggressive jungling is really having its impact on this game. Gambit are already on the back foot just so early on. A lot of great level 1 moves by KT Rolster B. And the thing is, they didn't even ward their blue buff. They just like let it go completely. And just because Someday walked past that team, he saw, oh yes, they are there. And all the moves went from there.
Very true. So using the vision to be one of their greatest advantages here, not necessarily trying to react to what Gambit was doing, but taking advantages elsewhere on the map. Let's take a quick look at this top lane here. Someday going up against Darian. Both of these players themselves, their team tends to just leave them alone, let them do their own thing on that island in top lane. Although we have Shen going up against Kha'Zix. One's known for dealing a lot of damage, and one is known for taking a lot of damage.
And it's going to be interesting because, yeah, you have this, like you said, this sort of this mismatch of champion roles, a tank versus an assassin. Early on, it actually is pretty good for Darien. He'll be able to hit Someday pretty hard because there's not a lot of natural tankiness abilities on Shen. Rank 1 Feint's not that huge, but Ryu is already roaming around a little bit. He's looking for the bottom lane towards Alex, and they'll just start farming, I guess.
Well, Ryu actually only level 3, having to share experience with Kale for the time she spent in that mid lane matchup. So you're going to see here Alex H actually winds up getting a slight level advantage, but once again, he has no tower, so he's not going to be very safe down here. Darien actually taking a bit of pain here. Insect's going to try coming around here. Someday also in the brush. A flash taunt, but Darien's going up, jumping away. The taunt did land, though. Ignite taken away. Is he going to wind up going down here? First Blood does wind up going away to KT Rolster B. Someday snagging that with an Ignite.
That was a very, very great gank right there. Of course, amazing reflexes by Darien, but you know when you force it down that hard and he's out of potions, I mean, Darien had recalled just for a Doran's Blade and a single potion, and he just ran out. Ryu actually in a fight with Alex in the bottom lane.
So you can teleport. Actually, the Stand United coming in from Someday. He's already level 6. Alex going to have to hightail it out of there. Edward and Mafa dueling as the supports towards that mid lane area. And it looks like for the time being, Gambit Gaming is going to be safe.
And Alex was forced to flash away from that engagement. And, of course, Insect was still in that top lane to soak up the rest of that farm. He's actually at 37 minion kills on Zed. And he spent a lot of time ganking, and yet still has a bunch of minion farms. So Insect, right, we called him this sort of carry jungler, a really just outstanding player, and we're seeing that here. He is omnipresent.
That's very true. He did actually go into the bottom lane, help the tower go down, got a little bit of farm there, so that's potentially why he has a bit more CS than the side of Diamond Proxy. Went into that top lane, gave away first blood to his ally on Shen, so that's always going to be a good thing here. We did see that Stand United coming into great use, trying to gank down the bottom lane, but Alex disengaging pretty nicely almost immediately as soon as he saw that coming down. So very good heads-up play from Gambit side, but KT Rolster B right now, all the advantages seem to be on their side here. Insects stalking around the map, like you said, Freak, he's pretty much omnipresent, and Gambit Gaming, they got to be a bit afraid of Zed.
And he is actually waiting, he was waiting, I should say, for a gank in the mid lane, waiting in the Fog of War, hoping for something too aggressive to happen. The next big thing, I think, is going to be when Genja hits level 6. He's got a really big opportunity to start fights with Enchanted Crystal Arrow. He's most of the way there now himself. I'm curious to see if that'll work out for him.
Well, we're going to have to keep our eyes peeled on Genja as he is about halfway to level 6. There's basically a tri-lane going down right now as KT Rolster B really wants to try to pressure in on this mid lane turret. We do see Darien going around when the blue buff spawns, but back in the mid lane, we do see Edward having to flash over the wall here. Alex is just waiting in that brush. They don't exactly see him. The barrel goes out, but there are 4 members strong just completely parading into the enemy jungle here. They're not only just trying to steal away this blue buff, but they're also trying to force Gambit Gaming to engage. Maffa's going to get withered here. The body slam, the explosive cast, knocking him backwards. Genja's going to snipe up a kill there with a very nice volley. Great reaction coming out from Gambit.
That was an absolutely excellent counter gank. Ooh. Insug looked for a steal right there, couldn't quite grab it. He put the shadow over the wall. He could have went for it if he wanted to. Maybe a Q at the end there to try to steal it away. And yeah, that was well executed. Of course, KT Rolster B had the timer on that golem buff because they took it themselves last time. They ran 4 members over there to make that happen, but Gambit had already timed that themselves. We saw something like that in CLG versus Good Game University, where Chowster repeatedly timed the golem buff. What Gambit did here was time it themselves and make sure they were ready to stop it.
Very true. Although the pressure coming out from Insect in the jungle, they did wind up giving the blue buff of the smite onto Diamond Proc. So it's not going to be over here on Alex Ich, although I don't necessarily know how sad he's going to be about that one. We also did see Gambit Gaming's Darien stealing away the enemy blue buff. So for the time being, all the blue, all the cooldown reduction going to be on the side of Gambit this time around. KT Rolster B, they had these advantages in the beginning stages of the game. They still have a very slight gold advantage, but we're going to have to see how effective these buffs do come into play.
I think it'll actually be a very, very big deal. You're going to see Darien have, once he heals back up, pretty much a field day dealing with Shen because of the blue buff. What I'm really impressed by, actually, is the fact that Darien was killed giving up first blood and is still winning in minion farm against Someday. And Someday is like ludicrously good himself, so that's a big tribute to Darien's skill.
Yeah, and we also, of course, have the Void Spikes. Once you upgrade those at level 6 for Darien, I'm going to double check there my own math here, and it does look like he has the Evolved Spiked rack, so he's going to wind up farming up very nicely with that one. So going to be able to wave clear a bit more effectively than Shen can. But we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for that one. Diamondprox is holding the top lane. Mid lane, we do see continuous pressure coming down. Only a duo lane now going back and forth as that mid lane actually hasn't taken as much damage as you would think, concerning how much focus KT Rolster B has really shown towards this area of the map.
So actually, Darien took improved wings. I don't know if that was a misclick or not, but he's actually evolved that one, so he won't be applying his passive with the Void Spikes, unless I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he's taking that.
No, he actually does have the wings, yes.
Yeah, so he won't shoot 3 spikes, he won't apply his passive with it. If that is a misclick, he'll have to wait till level 11 to get that evolve. Normally you evolve wings second, so once he hits 11, he'll be back to where he's, I would expect, intended to be. Unless this is a new strategy and something different from him, just to make him more escapable.
Well, he has the escape potential with those evolved wings, although it does mean that they might be looking for something more along the lines of a team fight towards Dragon or something like that. Top lane, though, does look like that Darien might not have a chance to. He does wind up using that leap to try to get away here. Insect did come for a gank, but doesn't look like they're going to be able to crush down Darien quite yet.
Yeah, they may very well have been on purpose. It was helping him live. In fact, yeah, I think this was a specific choice because Darien is actually maxing his claws first. He's maxing Q, W second, which is a different build.
We have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming down as Edward pops the Wild Growth on himself. Alex is going to teleport in here, knocks back Ryu into the tower, but Stan Yarn's going to keep him alive. KT Rolster B turns this one around. Sunday going to land the taunt and the kill there down on Edward, and now they have multiple members in this mid lane, once again starting to try to push this one down.
That was an incredibly impressive fight on both sides. It was a really nice attempt trying to pick... Oh, then they're going to win on Nasus.
Nasus does get the Death Mark popped in. There's a taunt coming out from Sunday. Has to pop his ultimate Diamondprox. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of this one. Insect picked up a kill for himself in there.
It was an awesome play, turning around, just kind of bursting him down. But that earlier fight was so impressive on all sides. The reactions to Explosive Cast Ryu back into the team on top of the turret. But the thing is, he'd already popped his ult, and he'd already gotten the kill ult as well. So it was such a good job of getting him to safety. Completely out of position, but intervention kept him alive. Let Evelyn run right back into the team.
We did have Darien just dueling with Sunday, trying to pick something up onto Shen, forcing back the members of KT Rolster B, so he himself is going to wind up going in there, making sure that even though there are certain advantages gained from their side, they're not going to be able to press them further. That mid lane tower still seeming to be the focus of KT Rolster B's side. I don't necessarily know if it's the fact they took down the bottom tower and now they just want to establish that jungle presence, contest the blue buffs, give them that easier access towards the dragon side of things, or if it's just the fact that that's where everybody seems to be meeting up.
I think it's more that everyone just kind of seems to be being there, to be completely fair, that they've already got the dual lanes in mid, and it's just kind of easier to group up there. All the action starts there, and so when you've got teleports and global ultimates all around the team, you just happen to show up in mid more often.
Well, Diamondprox you see on the screen was just going and soloing the Dragon. Meanwhile, on top lane, we have Darien trading back and forth with Sunday. Tanking as a Shed might get the best of Kha'Zix here, as he does have to leap away from that one after taking a massive amount of damage in a straight 1v1 trade.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting because we had just talked about how well Darien was doing. That max Q, of course, does incredible damage in a 1v1. But now that Sunday has 2 of the 3 pieces, the last being the recipe of Sunfire Cape, he's actually doing a much better job in duels. He's got now enough tank stats on Shen to start withstanding all that burst damage that Darien would put out.
And the fact of the matter is, too, Darien does not quite have a lot of armor penetration just yet. He did go for Vampiric Scepter, not building towards a Brutalizer or anything of that, so just Runes and Masteries are trading to any sort of penetration he's going to be able to get down on the very, very tanky Shen. So this top lane tower now is going to start feeling a little bit of pressure there, as this is some days kind of play style. From what we've seen in the online qualifiers, he played a lot of Nidalee. He played a decent amount of Shen as well. He really liked to just apply pressure in his own lane, push that one through, and then came down with a teleport or the Stand United whenever the team pretty much needed him. Otherwise, he played a very kind of solo style game. It was pretty much, you know, the one-player League of Legends game in top lane, continuing to push it down and continuing to pressure it. Darien, though, picking this Kha'Zix, he's not necessarily going to want to be in that top lane the entire time.
No, and the thing is, he's also there without an ability to disrupt some days Stand United. He's not like Singed or Gragas or something who can break that channel. And he doesn't have teleport himself, so if KT Rolster B keeps forcing these 4-on-4s whenever Stand United is up, Darien's going to be stuck there isolated in the top lane. To me, what Gambit might have to do is actually force dragon fights, pull Darien down, and get into those battles over and over to try to equalize that.
Well, normally when you're isolated, that's a good thing for Kha'Zix, but when it's meaning you're completely alone and not in a 1v1 situation, it's not really the best thing in the world. We did see Insect was poking his head into that top lane, maybe waiting for something to happen, but Darien very wisely backing off, not wanting to push the lane, even almost recalling the entire time. But Diamondprox is coming up here on Nasus. Are they going to try to go on to getting something onto Someday? We'll have to see here, trying to bait out that taunt. Darien does wind up going in, wind up trading the Taste Their Fear onto Someday. Nothing much going to come out of this one, though. I don't think Shen's really going to try to bite the bait yet.
He's not just yet, of course. He's not even pushing the wave very hard, and they're going to go for it with the Wither.
Wither goes down, so does the Spirit Fire. A taunt away from Someday means that, well, nothing too much is going to come out of that. A lot of anticipation, but Someday is going to stay safe.
He is, and the cooldown, of course, on that dash is down to 6 seconds. Wither would be back up, but they will not dive the turret. Here you see Darien just simply recalling back for more items. Only 1,200 gold on him, so he's nowhere near a Bloodthirster. We'll see if he ends up looking for something else to accentuate his build. But he's certainly been falling behind Shen in terms of that item game. And actually, note, we're just seeing Darien run his way back to lane. He's saving up for a Bloodthirster.
So he is not going to wind up purchasing any more items to his name just yet. Speaking of people that are just trying to farm up and get into their item builds, we haven't really touched upon what Kha'Zix and Rio have been doing in this bottom lane the entire time. Pretty much a farm fest. 113 creep kills on Gragas compared to 94 on Evelynn. They haven't really even been trading blows back and forth for the time being. A lot of ages have been picked up on Gragas, whereas Evelynn, going a little bit different, has picked up a Fiendish Codex for the time being.
Actually, Insect in a fight with Kha'Zix in the bottom lane here. Oh, the burst damage, but here comes the Shen ult. They're going to go back on to Alex. They're trying to chase him down. Here comes Insect. A lot of damage from the death mark. Insect runs right back out, knows he's in danger. Somebody picks up the kill.
Well, maybe we shouldn't say anything and leave Kha'Zix alone, because as soon as we tried to talk about poor Gragas down there, he just absolutely got obliterated from the 3-man force of KT Rolster B. Edward did wind up coming down here, trying to make something happen. I don't think anything's really going to come of it. Insect just keeping his low life in the jungle, going to wind up picking up those double golems from their side. And right now, KT Rolster B, they seem to be making some plays. Ryu has a blue buff taken away on him. Meanwhile, we do see Darien in that top lane pushing away on the tower. Just mean that if they try to force something else around the map, like you said, Kha'Zix isn't going to be able to show up.
He's not, but at the very least, now with Shen's ult down for a while, he's got time back in this 1v1 duel. He leaps away from the Shadow Dash. And Darien now very dangerously close to level 11. He actually stopped at 4 points in Q, started maxing Void Spike again afterwards. I would expect him to start transitioning into that Void Spike build. The BF sword should be available to him as well, if that's what he chooses. And we're going to see Darien start really being a lot more effective now that he's actually gotten some attack damage.
Yeah, so Kha'Zix, of course, going to be a big powerhouse in towards the later stages, or the more mid stages of this game, as we're ticking away at about the 17-minute mark. And very interestingly enough, we've seen some different play styles on Kha'Zix. Trooper in the North American LCS, he favored that Tear of the Goddess and tried to stack it up, became more of a burst in the later stage of the game once he got that into a Muramana. This style coming out from the side of Darien, it's a bit more reminiscent of what we saw in the Challenger circuit before, when Prolly was doing the same sort of build, a little more armor penetration, though picking up a Brutalizer in Kha'Zix.
This is interesting because what's sort of different here, and actually, so Darien chooses his ultimate for his next evolve, so he's still just trying to be sort of more of a front liner. At the bottom lane, we see Ryu taking a bunch of pain, forced to flash away. Nice aggression by Kha'Zix, and he's still just trying to put some pressure down those barrels, really zoning Evelynn out very successfully.
Yeah, he has a slight CS advantage in this one. Evelynn, however, with 3 assists to her name, is not going to be all too far behind. Very interestingly enough, we did see that Evelynn has the Home Guard upgrade already on her Sorcerer shoes. Maybe why she doesn't necessarily have a completed item compared to Gragas, but Insect stalking around this mid lane. Edward, I don't think he actually got a chance to see him, but Insect is not going to try to jump behind them, as Diamond Prox does also make his presence known there.
Yeah, these guys have been very, very good at getting around the map, getting into fights, and showing up sort of out of nowhere. And I think everyone on the game now is really giving a lot more respect to each team's opponents. Right, we saw Kha'Zix go for that fight at the bottom lane and be like, oh my gosh, here comes the Shen, and it was suddenly very, very scary for him. And I think on both sides that these teams know there's globals available. You've got the teleport from Alex, the arrow from Gensha, the ult from Someday, and of course Ryu's invisible half the time. So they're being a little bit more cautious here.
That is very true, and so far nobody's really been going for any sort of big moves, like you said, just clearing out vision. We see Edward with an Oracle's Elixir already. If I'm going to pan over to Moff, it doesn't seem he has the same kind of ward clearing power just yet, but he does have the Sight Zone in his own inventory, so everybody just kind of jockeying for the vision positioning right now. We do have a lot of very in-deep wards coming out from the side of KT Rolster B. This, of course, being a product of that gank down from Alex Ich. We had Evelynn from Rio moving around the jungle, placing in a couple of wards, but Edward's going to wind up coming over here towards the blue buff with Alex, finding some of those and clearing out those vision advantages that KT was able to get.
And of course, what we see right now is just Gambit going for the golem buff themselves. Actually, oh, fight with Insect at the bottom.
Darren looks like he has to pop the Stand United from Shen, going on to Insect. So right now, KT Rolster B, they're pretty much all grouped up, save Ryu, who's actually shown himself in the mid lane. Now that Stand United down, Gambit Gaming, they're going to try to go for this Dragon attempt here. KT Rolster B looks like they don't really want anything of it, instead rather going down into this mid lane tower. So it's going to be a tower for Dragon as Gambit Gaming now running into that mid lane, see if they could try to catch anyone out from KT Rolster B. And the tower actually does not go down. It's left with 18 HP.
What?
So Gambit Gaming coming out ahead with that.
That was a bit of a mistake there from KT Rolster B. One more attack would have sealed the deal there. That was the right choice, I think, to go for that turret. It's often very difficult to get that mid lane turret, especially when you're fighting this Gambit Gaming lineup. They've got such an incredible set of wave clear on their champions. Here we go. It's an easy attack from score. There he gets it. Turret goes down.
Yay.
3 for nothing now on turrets, KT Rolster B. But again, those turrets are very hard to kill because of how much wave clear Gambit Gaming has. So it makes a lot of sense for them to just say, oh yeah, we'll trade that out, no big deal, and get more map pressure. And what I really like about that was how fast that call came in and how fast that team reacted.
Well, the thing of it is here, even though they're down 3 towers because of the Dragon that they're able to secure, as well as some of the farm advantages from the side of Gambit Gaming, they're not that far behind in gold. It's only about 1,000 global gold altogether, and this is very reminiscent of what we saw from them in Katowice against then Azubu Frost. They wound up falling behind in towers. The map presence seemed to be a little bit against them, but once we hit that 20 to 25 minute mark, there was a team fight where Frost just thought they were that much further ahead, and they really weren't, and Gambit had to turn that one around. Is KT Rolster B going to be in the same kind of mindset?
I'm not sure, really. Actually, another fight in the bottom lane, though. It's a lot of risk coming off on both sides. Alex forced to ult to get Ryu away. He's going to body slam as well. Looks like Ryu would not chase that one down. But a random aside, because I started looking at where's this gold lead coming from, and I looked at Genja, who's actually, he's maxed volley as all Ashes do, but he's put only 3 in Frost Shot and 2 in Hawk Shot. So he's actually getting extra 2 gold per minion kill, which is right now at 264, but also gives him that extra long range on the actual reveal. I don't know if it's more for the gold or more for the reveal, but for what it's worth, 3 in Q, 2 in E.
That's very true, and he already has an Infinity Edge and a Vampiric Scepter, as well as a Zeal of his own, compared to the last Whisper that we did see Skort just purchasing now, and a Bloodthirster on Misfortune. That one actually all fully stacked up, so both of these AD carries already with a big ticket item in their inventory, and then some. Of course, Misfortune going to be loving that last Whisper and Bloodthirster combination. If they do so choose to get into a team fight, she has hit level 11, since she has level 2 of that Bullet Time ultimate. The real problem here is going to be not keeping her alive because they have Stand United and they have Intervention to do so with, but trying to group everyone from Gambit Gaming together in a space so that Bullet Time can hit everyone.
And that's going to be really what the tell is here in this fight, is can KT Rolster B play that more area of effect team fight? Because that's what they're really, really looking for, whereas Gambit are much more about picking out an individual. Now, with Dragon down, it's going to be much harder for this all-out slugfest team fight to start. We've seen these teams be very, very hesitant to fight each other after the early game aggression and the kills once in a while. We only really ever see fights kind of like in these one-on-one lane situations where it's usually Alex is trying to fight someone. Oof, almost got caught up by Insect in the bottom lane. That's going to be a safe one. But, there's not really any easily reached objectives on either side. As you pointed out, Gambit seems happy to farm and try to build an advantage there. And it's hard, I think, for KT Rolster B to start fights on inner turrets.
Well, we have Edward with that Oracle's Elixir continue, puts him out himself. He looks to maybe be the focus as the ping goes down from the side of KT Rolster B. And I mean, I'm looking at just the map presence right now. Ever so slightly, KT Rolster B is continuing to go further and further across the river onto Gambit Gaming's side. But that Oracle's Elixir on Edward continuously clearing out the wards. They're creeping closer and closer into the enemy jungle, but they don't have vision on it. That's got to be a little bit scary because, as we keep saying, both these teams rely so much on positioning, not just in their champions they've selected, but the way they wind up winning team fights. And the best way to do so is to have a vision advantage. It looks like going in Edward right here.
Someday actually a bunch of damage everywhere. There's the Ash Arrow coming across. Bit of damage to Lulu. Up in the top lane, we have a fight as well. Someday forced to run away. Looks like everyone else is alive. And we can see now, actually, it's Diamond running because the rest of the team is there. The taunt goes in. He's going to look for this one. Are the rest of the ult's going to come out. There's the Evelyn ult, the Misfortune on top of that one. Look at the damage output. Ryu picks up one on the Darien. The Gragas ult turns that one back and picks up Shen. Oh, man, the intervention is going to keep one more alive. Diamond is forced to run. Insect will look for that one, and he's going to find it for sure. The Death Mark. Oh, no, he gets baited. The ultimate ultimate now coming out. That's going to be a 2 for 2 in this fight, and now KT Rolster is forced to run.
Well, waiting for that ultimate coming out, there was a great usage there from Gambit Gaming. However, KT Rolster B, they turned that situation around. Originally, they jumped down into Edward, and they think they're going to wind up being able to take him out. Then they just transition over to where Someday is. He's big, beefy, tanky Shen, a giant spot in the Sunfire Cape in his inventory. He's not taking damage. Well, he's taking damage, but he's not going down without a fight. That buys him enough time to wind up turning that one around over the wall. Kha'Zix comes in once again with that teleport to wind up saving things with an explosive cast, but he gets caught out in front while the remainder of everybody focused down on inset. So 2 for 2 trade, no towers or anything really going to either side, but Diamond Procs now going on to Ryu, maybe trying to force him just away from this blue buff, and he will succeed for the time being.
And the one thing to realize about Evelynn versus Nasus as well is that her W, it clears slows when she casts it. And so especially for a ramping slow like Nasus, where it starts actually pretty low, she'll simply clear it out without getting CC'd much at all and make a clean break for it. And of course, they do get control over the blue buff. That's going to go to them pretty successfully. But the other interesting thing is that KT Rolster B are itemizing mostly armor because they're fighting an Ashe and a jungle Nasus and a Kha'Zix. But Kha'Zix is going to be a pretty heavy magic damage burster. 187 minions on him. He's getting pretty close to, I would guess, a death cap. Maybe it's Zhonya's, and he's going to be doing a lot of burst damage. We saw that in the Volibear from Lauda Mortis when Complexity played TSM, was that Reginald on Orianna, who's normally not like a hard carry, Orianna, was doing incredible damage because he was only buying armor.
Well, he also has, ooh, looks like an engager. Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands on Ryu. That pops the intervention. The Agony's Embrace used from Evelynn to wind up going for a disengage here. Large shield means that they're not going to be able to focus that on this one. But with 2 primary ultimates down, Gambit Gaming, they're going to be looking to take this dragon here free. KT Rolster B, they're positioning around the outside insect, trying to maybe go for a steal over the wall. He wants to put the Shadow Clone down. Is he going to wind up jumping to it is the question. It looks like he's not going to be able to take it. There's a smite coming out from Diamond Proc. Then the explosive cast knocking Someday back, but Ryu's still coming in from behind. The jump in from Darren, they're trying to focus down on the Shen. Not the primary target, but Genja goes down as Ryu snipes him away. Someday's going to pick up a kill on Edward, and now they're chasing down onto Diamond Proc. He's going to wind up going down. A double kill goes in favor of Someday, trying to follow up onto Alex. It's a flash out from Score. They're not going to be able to find home on that one. And even though the health bars are blinking down low, KT Rolster B takes a 3 for Dragon.
That was a beautifully orchestrated fight right there. It was a nice attempted steal, of course, it did go to Diamond, but from there, just kind of all hell broke loose. The amount of burst damage available, even Ryu without the ultimate, I don't think being up still. I could be wrong on that one, actually. I think I am. But just the ability of Insight to immediately assassinate Genja, and ooh, they look for Darien. I don't think they're quite going to find it. No, they won't. But the fact that they assassinated the AD carry so early on in that fight, Score survived and came back into the battle to deal damage. They got rid of Genja immediately, and that was all Insect.
And the thing is, too, they used Kha'Zix's burst to wind up taking down very low one of the targets. Unfortunately, well, if you have a pause here, we could talk about a little bit more. But the primary target that got knocked back from the explosive cast into the team was Shen, who isn't necessarily somebody that can go down very easily. So they start to shift the focus onto Shen with the Kha'Zix big burst damage from his ultimate already down. We talked about how they're itemizing for armor and health, so the remaining members from Gambit Gaming don't necessarily hurt as much as they should be. Ryu looped all the way around from the outside after disengaging with his Agony's Embrace and just came down and assassinated Genja. Genja was trying to kite away from Shen and literally was walked right into Evelynn. So he goes down immediately. There's no more big damage coming out right now because Kha'Zix, he does have a Bloodthirster, but that's pretty much his big ticket item. There's a Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge. Ashe is going to be hurting a lot, but she's already gone from the equation. The burst damage from Gragas, nowhere to be found, and what we saw there was KT Rolster getting close to being dead, but there was no follow-up to kill him.
And what's crazy, too, is how hard Genja's trying to survive. He's picked up Boots of Swiftness just so he can run around faster. Of course, he's Ashe, he can slow people down, but he is exposed. One of the biggest advantages of a champion like Evelynn is that they run around the map invisible, and Gambit Gaming are not investing heavily in vision wards. They don't actually see her coming around for the flanks. Right, you talked about that. He disengaged with Agony's Embrace, came around the side, and assassinated Ashe in that fight. And he's able to do that because they don't see him coming in. Low health, no ult, doesn't matter. He's able to show up and combo in with Insect.
I'm sorry, but I gotta get the pun here. She was Ashe assassinated.
Ooh, nice.
Pound it.
Thank you, crowd. You are lovely.
Well, someday actually in this top lane looks like to be stalking out on Darien, just trading some blows back and forth. And now Gambit Gaming, they might be reeling a little bit from that one. They blew those couple ultimates from the side of KT Rolster B. They thought they could wind up going in there, taking a dragon in the ensuing fight, but the Koreans they had a better positioning. Like we said, they baited the AD carry into dying. They fed her directly into the mouth of Evelyn, and they weren't able to wind up taking that fight. That was the 20-something minute fight that we usually see Gambit Gaming winning too. So what are we going to try to expect to see here? Is it going to just be more passive farming until Gambit gets the engages they want?
It's got to be, because they just realized they're in a situation where they can't do much to keep Genja alive. Unless they fight around a field of vision wards, it's going to be incredibly difficult for that Ashe to survive. And again, he's going to be a big source of damage output in these fights, because after all the burst damage happens, after the Misfortune ult, Insect, Ryu, all that happens, the persistent damage is not huge from Gambit, really. Malphus had such great interventions that no one's been bursted out by Gragas either, which then says, well, Gambit, I don't know where your damage is going to come from, but if Genja's dead, it's not coming from him. And that's been kind of a big difficulty here, that Misfortune can clean up the fight afterwards. So I think they got to get to the point where they get, I don't know if it's Banshees or Warmogs or GA or what, but Genji needs to get to a point where he doesn't die. Whether it's items or something, I actually don't know, to be fair. But that's kind of what it's going to rely on, is a fight where Genji doesn't go down.
Well, we have KT Rolster B now moving themselves around the map. Someday we saw just clearing out some wards by Baron Pit with his Oracle's Elixir, and they're continuing just to pressure back down upon Gambit's side of the map. You guys can even see from the mini-map there are wards in the blue buff area and multiple wards leading up in towards the red buff and top lane area jungle from the side of KT Rolster B. Some of them are grouping up towards this mid lane just to continue to wave clear and pressure from the side of Gambit Gaming. They want to kind of corral them on their own side of the map so they don't have to worry about when these global objectives like Dragon, even though it's going to respawn in a couple minutes still, they don't want to give any access to Gambit through their own jungle, through the river area, to try to catch somebody out of position. Because they have an Enchanted Crystal Arrow from Ashe, and that can make somebody have a bad day.
Oh, it absolutely can. Gambit's ability to jump on a guy and kill him is incredibly high. As long as Mafa is not nearby for intervention, they can burst through anything. And in fact, well, there's Mafa for the intervention, and the counter engage comes in, and Crystal Arrow comes by. Beautiful Misfortune ultimate, dropping a lot of health bars. Here comes Diamond in from the back. Who's going to go down first? It's going to be Score taking a kill onto Edward. Where's the rest of the battle going to go? 2 for 0 now to KT Rolster's side. They get the taunt off the Diamond. Oh my gosh, the Gragas ult picks up Misfortune, but the fight is still a numbers advantage. Can they pick up the kill? Yes, Darien finds one. What's going to be next? Oh, the re-engage. They force Evelyn away. The chase in from Sench. Will he go down? Someday maybe, but not right now. Oh, here comes Gragas. He goes for the body slam. He's still alive, but has Feint on. Can he survive this? No, it will be Alex Itch picking up the kill.
And that was a great turnaround from Gambit Gaming. We said, what is the engage they're looking for? Well, that was one there. They wound up taking a 3-for-2 trade. And the worst part about that was for KT Rolster B was they were the ones to initiate that fight to start with. So unfortunately for them, they wound up walking into a fight where they thought they had the upper hand, but Gambit Gaming just kind of funneling in ever so slightly. They trickled in kind of one by one, but it worked out for them. Score wound up picking up the first kill of the fight, but he put himself in a dangerous spot doing so, and that let Gragas disposition them, pick up a kill on the AD carry, and then it was KT Rolster B lacking the damage.
That is definitely right there. Big ups. Oh my god. Ooh, are they going to catch
So
Darien?
close.
Evelyn actually goes and catches Diamond right there. Will they go in? Nuh-uh. They are not going to go for that one.
No,
but
not quite yet.
That fight was big ups to Alex Itch because he did manage to pick out Misfortune in that fight, in the middle of the fight, and pick the kill up, and then turn around to save the rest of his teammates. That was incredibly well fought by that Gragas, and that was kind of a big factor for that fight.
Well, if we're looking at it in the gold count-wise, we do have Gambit Gaming taking a slight edge over KT Rolster B for the time being. KT, of course, you can't count out the fact that they have every single outer tower from Gambit Gaming's side down, which means, of course, they always are going to have that threat of just vision advantage as well as the positioning on the opposite side of the map. Edward, once again, I think this is his 3rd Oracle's Elixir. Last time here, I couldn't quite count past number 5, so let's see if we can keep better track of that one this time on my behalf at least. He's gotten, I believe this is his 3rd Oracle's Elixir of the game, continuously clearing out Gambit's side of the jungle, and even though they wind up turning that fight into their favor, we need to have Gambit Gaming shifting momentum forward onto KT Rolster B's side of the map, be it whether they try to contest the next global objective with Dragon B clean up, start taking some towers, and reapply some pressure on the KT Rolster B. But if they sit on it right now, they're both so even that it's really just going to come down to pure skill and position.
It will, and the thing is, actually, Kha'Zix getting caught out a bit by Insect. This could be a scary fight for him. He's forced to run away from his team, which will make this a very difficult split fight here for Gambit. Some days nearby, they're still pushing into Alex. Oh, he is going to get completely eviscerated. Insect finds one for free, and they re-engage. Here comes Shen. What's he going to look for? The jump away. The Ashe trying to disengage the team as well. Diamond now kind of the one in front. Oh, the Evelyn ult finds two. What can they get with bullet time? There's trying to run away. Still another taunt lands. Diamond will not make his way out of this one. KT Rolster finds two for nothing.
Well, they started off that fight by just absolutely assassinating Kha'Zix. Like you said, the death mark going down and the damage coming out from Insect Jungle Zed. He has a Bloodthirster. The stacks on that one, well, it's full up right now. He has a Black Cleaver in his inventory as well. And Kha'Zix, interestingly enough, is going for what looks like pieces of an Abyssal Scepter. So he doesn't necessarily have any defense against the raw AD that the side of KT Rolster B can output like that. He goes down extremely early, and it's a 4v5 situation with KT Rolster B being the ones in the better position to aggress.
Wow, but they're going to try to stop this on the Baron. It's so very low. Blue team does get it. Insect with the good smite. They're going to walk away with a free Baron. They are not stopped, and that was an impressive call. I've liked KT Rolster B's call so far. When they said, oh, you're going Dragon, we'll immediately go for this turret. They just won that team fight. I thought, oh, it's a free Dragon. Nah, it's a free Baron. They ran across the map and burned it down quickly. That was a nice move.
And they have so much damage output coming from Zed as well as Misfortune. And as long as both of those are alive, they are going to be dishing out the pain. Not a bad call either, considering they took out the enemy smite, so there's no real worry there from Insect's side if his smite was going to be contested. So securing that Baron, Darien is going to wind up soloing this Dragon, trying to keep his side of the game just intact. And while the gold count still, they're not too far apart. Actually, with this Dragon, it's only about a 1,000 gold lead. But who is that gold going to? We could take a look over here at the tab. Shen, a slight lead over Kha'Zix in that top lane matchup. Zed, of course, being a big factor, having a very large lead over Nasus in the jungle lane matchup. The mid lane, though, so far it's been all Alex each. His Gragas plays have been really spot on with this one. And the AD carries looking to pretty much be similar for the time being. So it's really about Shen and Insect. Like we said, this guy can carry teams on his back from the jungle position, and he's showing it right now in this game.
And you're sort of seeing what KT Rolster is doing for that champion. Now notice the item builds there. So Shen, he's going full tank, right? Sunfire, Warmog's looking at a Randuin's Omen next. Look at Insect, Bloodthirster, Black Cleaver. In fact, they've been giving him farm. He's got more minion kills than his mid laner and his top laner. He's actually got equal gold to those lanes. They're giving him farm so he can go carry. Darien getting jumped into the top lane. This is going to be very, very painful for him. Will it be enough damage from Insect? It will not. A nice ult actually blocks some damage from the death mark. Darien runs out. Of course, his right-hand side turret has gone down. You can see that when you've got a jungler who can solo a top laner because they've given Insect farm, he's a huge menace.
Well, you also have to keep in mind that KT Rolster B has someday on Shen, and being extremely tanky, having that Stand United available, he can split push, but at the same time, he could just absorb any damage coming out from the remaining members of Gambit Gaming and help his team take down objectives as well. We see them at the same time that fight is going on in top lane, they take down that bottom tier 2 tower, so now getting even more gold here. And the fact of the matter is, someday, he really doesn't take that much damage coming out from Darien, so Darien's going to have a hard time dueling against him 1v1. Same thing against Insect, he just puts out so much damage that Darien can't live against him. So no matter who is going to be missing from that fight,
they find an arrow, they go all in. What are they going to go for here? Not finding much just yet. Darien forced to run away, has no ult. He goes down right away. Alex comes in, score, blocks it. Nice move right there. And they don't find a counter kill. It's a 1-0. They look like they're going to re-engage, though. Diamond in front. There's slows off on somebody. They've got to be careful, though. It's still outnumbered. Diamond does get taunted up. What's the focus onto now? He is getting lower and lower. Kale adding a slow, still trying to find a fight here. They're putting damage now onto Someday, and he misses the flash. Can they find this? But here comes Insect. He's doing so much to this poor Ashe, and she pops. Absolutely explodes right there. He trades that kill apart, but they're still going for this one. KT Rolster B trying to run away, and Gambit will not find something here.
That death mark must have taken Ashe down from half HP to 0 in just one quick pop. She even has a Warden's Mail in her inventory.
Diamond still in a rough spot as well. Ryu chasing underneath the turret. So much damage coming there. He will not lifesteal enough. She gets out as well with the refresh slow. Genja, he'll look for a Randuin's, but he needs that.
He really needs something to wind up surviving from the Zed popping on him. Like we said before, Zed actually was taking a lot of damage from Genja in that fight. Ash was focus firing down on the jungler, forcing him out of the fight. Then when he stepped forward to help the remaining members of Gambit Gaming, Insect said, well, you've got me low, but I'm not dead yet, so I'm going to take you with me if you decide to kill me anyway, and just jumps down on Ash, obliterates her from that one. And like we saw there, Gambit Gaming, if you wanted taking out one of those big damage dealers, be it Gragas or be it Ash, they just really don't have the sustained damage to wind up winning out in these team fights. KT Rolster B, I don't even think they wound up losing anybody in that engagement whatsoever. So they still had, well, they had Insect who wound up falling down, but they still had the massive amounts of damage that now Misfortune is going to be able to put out. Last Whisper, Static Shin, and Bloodthirster on her.
That is a really, really just very scary Misfortune. She's actually allowed to itemize more damage overall because she's under much less threat than Genja. What I'm surprised about for Genja, though, is that he has 2,150 gold, and he hasn't spent it on anything. I mean, there's no single slot item that he couldn't buy right now. He could sell the Doran's Blade, he could upgrade. Oh, Edward's getting caught by Insect, has to ult himself, he'll get out. But the thing is, he could upgrade to Randuin's and just hasn't. He's just sort of chosen not to. And I thought he was saying, okay, yeah, I'll wait until I revive so you can't see me buy it. Because if you see someone's corpse, you can see their items update if they buy. And I was like, okay, he's waiting until he revives. Then he left base and still didn't buy any items. I'm very surprised by that.
We'll have to see here if Genja is indeed saving for something else. He's on the recall right now, so we'll see what he winds up getting. And he bought himself a Bloodthirster. Sells, looks, or actually upgrades the Vampiric Scepter. So he's just going for more pure damage, which we talked about being one of the big damage sources from the side of Gambit Gaming. It's good, but he might just wind up getting obliterated so easily in these fights. He needs something to keep him alive. The lifesteal maybe will be something to keep him there. But uh-oh, looks like Darren getting jumped on by Ryu in the top lane, just forcing him to leap away right now. And for the time being, it looks like KT Rolster B continuing just to creep down on Gambit Gaming side of the map, kind of pigeonholing them at this point in time. They're going to force them into this little area where they're forced to fight, and at the same time, it looks like KT Rolster B, they're just going to have the superior position to collapse in.
Yeah, this is certainly a game of vision right now. Certainly a credit to Gambit. They're holding on very, very well in a game that they're, for now, losing. Of course, we could always see a comeback. They've got good late game power overall, but KT Rolster B, they are strangling the map. This is a pretty textbook late game play from the top teams where they just sort of start taking control. They're able to win every fight, and they keep choking out on vision, and choking out on vision, and choking out on vision, and then finding free kills, basically, because they've blinded the enemy team so much that someone somewhere will wander into the fog of war, waiting with 5 enemy champions, and they just drop immediately. And right there, Insect finds Edward. We'll see if he can do anything with it.
Well, the Wild Gut's already been popped now. Diamond Proc seems to be taking the brunt of the damage, has to pop his own ultimate to live. Some damage going back down under score, but a Guardian Angel on Misfortune means they're going to have to truck through a lot of life twice in order to take her down. Right now, Gambit Gaming is on the disengage, but with the recalls going up and the ultimates down, KT Rolster B is looking to take the second tier mid tower.
And it could be a really good opportunity for them because they are in a good spot. We're seeing them try to wave clear here at Gambit Gaming. They've got volley, they've got upgraded. Finally, the third evolution of all Void Spikes. They're going to get that turret for free. Somebody's going to go for the taunt. They're in on the diamond, the Evelyn ult as well. Misfortune bullet time across everybody. No one is quite dead. Oh, a beautiful intervention is going to keep Evelyn alive. Shen trying to run away. Diamond slowed as well. He's been exhausted. Ryu comes across the wall, finds a Shen ult. Can they kill him in time? There's good burst. He pops the Zonias. He will not go down either. They're still in the base. Ryu takes damage. He's actually going to get out. So will Someday. Genja, oh no, are you overextended? Yes, Insect finds him. Darian shows up. He's got burst. He will take Insect back down. But KT have taken 2 for 1.
And it looked like it was going to be maybe a turnaround there from Gambit Gaming because Genja's arrow did wind up hitting 4 members of KT Rolster B, slowing the advance. But like you said, just the power. You won't normally think that you're overextending by going near the wall in your own base, but that's what happened there. Genja just once again getting absolutely eviscerated coming down from the side of Insect Zed. He winds up giving his own life. Good timing on the not only the Stand United coming out from Sunday, he's extremely low HP, so that's a risk considering how beefy Alex Gragas is with the Death Cap, his own Rod of Ages, and the Abyssal Scepter. He might have actually been able to take down Shen with that barrel, but another really good Zhonya's Hourglass to score. Trying to solo the Dragon, gets stolen away by Edward. He wants to get the Glitterland slow as well. The Wild Growth going down on Darian, trying to slow him down as much as possible. Score's taking the brunt of the damage. He's met up with a couple members of his team there. Good intervention coming out from Moppa to keep him alive. Darian has to run away. Diamond Prox now is in trouble. Ryu chasing down. The Hate Spikes coming down. Lock into the Iron Slaughter has been popped, trying to mitigate some of that damage, but Evelyn just running around circles on Diamond Prox, trying to take him down as quickly as possible. Doesn't look like it. A flash taunt over the wall on Somedays, going to miss on Darian. He's still chasing after him. Sunfire keep ticking away, trying to see if he's going to wind up picking up a kill onto Kha'Zix. The taunt getting him close, but no cigar for the time being. Quick little shield there, pop onto Darian. Looks like he's going to try to run away. That's the Hex Drinker shield going down on him. He keeps leaping and jumping away. Shen continuing to taunt after him on this one. Can Someday catch him? I don't think he's going to be able to, Freak.
The leap is back up in 2 seconds. The taunt up right now, but he's no longer in range. Nice little lens there by Edward. Good escape, but they've bought so much time that KT Rolster B, they're looking at this Baron Nashor. Only 2 started it right now. Mafa and Ryu coming up from the side, and Gambit are nearby. They're going to try for this one, but it's dropped dangerously, dangerously low. They're not going to get there in time. This is going to be a completely free Baron. Great pickup by KTRB.
Yeah, there was just no way for Gambit to get close enough to that one. They had so many members away towards that bottom lane area, and like you said, really good call played there, or play called there from the side of KT Rolster B. That's their second Baron of the game, if you want to think about it that way. So they are already taking massive, massive advantages. The gold counts as well, a little bit in their favor, 64.4 compared to 58.6. The kills and the towers, KT Rolster B has been able to take massive amounts of advantages. Darian actually going down under Ryu here, winds up popping the Agony's Embrace in top lane. There's the Shen Stand United coming down onto Evelyn. They're going to try to turn this one around onto Darian. Pops the ultimate, dodges the taunt coming in, does have Guardian to keep himself alive if he falls here. Somebody's going to walk around. Edward is here, but so is Score. Quick double up and shot over the wall. Alex Itch getting caught up. There's a bullet time coming out to secure the kill, but no, the Wild Gun's going to pop down. Darren stays alive just a little bit longer. Explosive cast coming out from Alex Itch, trying to force away Someday and Ryu. The barrel's going to get Zanya's Hourglass. The arrow is going to connect, but it hits on Someday. Intervention keeps Ryu alive for the time being. They're trying to turn this one around. Diamond Prox comes in. Alex Itch is going to go down. Score picks up the kill there. Genja's still in the back lines. Insect shows up. He takes down Edward, and now it's only 2 remaining members of Gambit Gaming to still 5 alive for KTB.
The micromanagement ability there from KT was absolutely amazing. Everybody survived. Ludicrously good interventions. Great Zonias as well. Now they've gone in on Genja. Look at the damage output there. He's likely to pop, and he does. Look at that kill picked up, and that is another free one. They're now onto the inhibitor. This is a very good situation for KT Rolster B.
Yeah, they still have all 5 members alive. The only one that had to wind up going back to heal at all is Ryu, so they're just continuing to march out into the base of Gambit Gaming. Death timers, looks like Darian has 10 seconds left on him, but only 15 seconds after that until Edward. They're trying to pressure down to these Nexus towers. Diamond Prox against the world right now as he's trying to defend here. Second Nexus tower is going to wind up going down. Darian has respawn, but they're focusing down the Nexus here. KT Rolster B, Insect actually using the Shadow, dashes over the Nexus. They're going to take it down. KT Rolster B, impressive stuff in game number 1, and they earned themselves the victory.
22-8, an excellent play. I can't think of a single major strategic mistake made by them, and a whole heck of a lot of really awesome, really smart moves. You can look at their team fight mechanics, their ability to survive over and over again. If they ever lost a fight, it was like by 1 kill, no big deal there. But their ability to turn from a fight and say, okay, we can Baron here. Okay, they've got good position on Dragon. We'll take a turret for it and go equal. Even if they get out position, they got it. Beautiful play by them.
Yeah, in Gambit Gaming, they just weren't able to take that mid-game team fight and ride the wave of confidence pretty much into the later stage of the game. They had brief moments of life being sparked in them, but KT Rolster B, they kind of snuffed them out. So we're going to have to see here, is it going to be KTB taking a second game victory, or will Gambit Gaming give us that full best-of-3 series, guys? The international exhibition matches have been absolutely astounding so far, and the finals, well, so far they haven't disappointed yet. We're going to find out if game number 2 lives up to our expectations after a commercial break.